Joss, and she just nailed it today in a spectacular way. I think we're all kind of thrilled.
In the world of guitar legends, very few names carry the kind of mystery and genius that Jeff Beck does. And behind every note he played, there was a story of obsession, rivalry, and inspiration that shaped his groundbreaking sound. Beck was not just another guitarist, he was a perfectionist who treated music like science, studying bands with an intensity that shocked even those close to him. Known for blending blues, rock, jazz, and fusion into something entirely his own, Beck wasn't content with simply playing well. He wanted to reinvent what the guitar could say. And this relentless pursuit of perfection often led him to influences that surprised both fans and critics. He once claimed that every great guitarist is first and foremost a great listener, and his life was proof of that, because his respect and even rivalry with certain bands reveal more about his artistic journey than his own albums ever could. Some of these influences were open and celebrated. Others whispered in backstage conversations or hidden behind studio doors. But all of them shaped Jeff Beck into the man who redefined what 6 strings could achieve. So let's dive into the 6 bands that completely consumed Jeff Beck's creative soul. And I promise, the names and stories will shock you. At number 6, we find The Ventures. The surf rock instrumentalists who most people would never connect with someone like Beck. Yet their reverb-soaked melodies fascinated him from the moment he first heard Walk Don't Run on pirate radio back in 1960. While the British scene was obsessed with American blues and R&B singers, Beck admired how the Ventures made the guitar itself the storyteller, proving that music didn't need words to speak. He reportedly told his bandmates that every note mattered when there were no lyrics to hide behind. And his obsession was so deep that he once spent an entire studio session trying to recreate their echoing sound, declaring that this was how guitars should sound in wide open spaces. Without ever meeting them, the Ventures unknowingly represented everything Beck believed in: precision over flash, melody over noise, and the guitar as a voice powerful enough to carry emotion on its own. Moving to number 5, we have Cream, the powerhouse trio led by Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker. This was less admiration and more of a complicated rivalry, because while Beck respected Clapton's talent, he also felt Cream relied too much on raw volume rather than finesse. He was quoted as saying that power without precision was just noise, a statement that quietly rippled through London's tight-knit music circles. Both Clapton and Beck were pushing blues into heavier, louder territories, experimenting with distortion and feedback. Yet Beck saw Cream as a band that pushed harder, but not smarter. Still, there was respect beneath the rivalry, and when Cream broke up in 1968, Beck admitted they had taught him something, that sometimes you need volume and chaos to make the quieter moments truly powerful. For Beck, Cream was both a warning and an inspiration, proof that success could come from brute force, but also a reminder of the value of precision and subtlety. At number 4, the story turns personal with the Yardbirds, the band Beck would later join himself. Before he was part of them, he reportedly stood in the audience during one of their shows with Eric Clapton on guitar and declared that he could do the same thing, only better. That comment put him on their radar, and soon after Clapton's exit, Beck became his replacement. He once compared the experience to inheriting a perfectly tuned race car. You respected the foundation, but pushed it further to see what it could really do. Early rehearsals revealed his dual respect and rivalry, as bandmates recalled him practicing Clapton's solos note for note before transforming them into his own unique versions. This moment in his life perfectly captured the struggle that defined Jeff Beck. balancing the weight of musical legacy with the need to innovate and carve out a sound that no one else could copy. In the number 3 spot, we arrive at King Crimson, a band whose complexity fascinated Beck like nothing else. When their debut album, In the Court of the Crimson King, was released in 1969, it shook the foundations of rock music with its hauntingly complex structures and strange time signatures. Beck reportedly said that every chord change felt like stepping off a cliff, and he became obsessed with mastering their material. His own bandmates were confused when rehearsals turned into hours of him trying to decode King Crimson's mathematical approach to music. Beck even tried to initiate a collaboration with Robert Fripp, but Fripp politely declined, saying Beck's brilliance wasn't the right kind of brilliance for Crimson's demanding style. Rather than breaking him, this rejection pushed Beck to dive deeper into music theory, proving that his obsession wasn't about fame or ego, but about chasing the next impossible challenge. Then comes number 2, the Beatles, a group whose influence stretched across every corner of music. And for Beck, they represented what was possible when a band treated the studio itself as an instrument. Around 1966, during the Revolver era, Beck became mesmerized not only by their songs, but by their production techniques, staying up all night at listening parties asking endless questions about how they achieved their groundbreaking sounds. He admired how they layered instruments, how they played with tape and time, and how they made guitars sound like entire orchestras. Working at Abbey Road at the same time as George Martin in 1968, Beck often lingered in the hallways, asking engineers about the Beatles' secrets. For him, they proved that imagination and technology could merge to create entirely new worlds of sound. And it shaped his belief that a guitarist wasn't just a performer, but a sculptor of sonic landscapes. Finally, taking the number 1 spot, The Shadows, the band that arguably shaped Jeff Beck more than any other. When he first heard Apache on Radio Luxembourg as a teenager, something inside him changed forever. Their clean, melodic playing, especially Hank Marvin's tremolo technique, became a blueprint for Beck's entire philosophy on guitar. He carried their influence into his Yardbirds years, slipping shadow-style passages into blues rock arrangements, insisting that guitars could sing without words. To him, the Shadows proved that every note should matter, that music should communicate across generations, and that the guitar could move hearts in ways lyrics sometimes could not. He often said that Hank Marvin taught him melody in its purest form, and it stayed with him for the rest of his life. And so, when you look at Jeff Beck's journey, you see a man defined not just by his own genius, but by the way he absorbed, wrestled with, and sometimes even fought against the music of others. From surf rock to progressive experiments, from rivalries with Clapton to inspiration from the Beatles and devotion to the Shadows, Beck's obsessions tell us the real story of how he became one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Which of these influences surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and if you love hearing the hidden stories behind music legends, make sure to subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon so you never miss the untold secrets of rock and roll history.